Oh, good evening. Okay, let me just make sure that captions are on. Yeah, so good evening, everyone. You're going to have to give me a moment or two just to get my head on straight. Today's been a bit hectic for me. Nothing major, just general life stuff. And one of the things that that I accidentally did was I forgot to set the countdown timer. So rather than the 6-ish minutes we've got up here, we are instead going to be going live in about 3 minutes. This is just to basically give people a bit of time to kind of come in, settle into the stream, make sure that they are all ready to watch. And also, I managed to do some changes and alterations to my avatar. So I finally found the shading and lighting options for B-Wide Studio, so I put that on. I also put some on to BC Face, which is the one that I use to actually do all the motion capture stuff. And my hair now actually moves. Yay! Hello Racing Nay, welcome to the stream. Is it okay if I call you Ray, or would you prefer a different name to be called by, if at all? Yeah, thank you for stopping by and popping into the chat. Okay, Ray is fine? Good, okay. So yeah, like I was just saying, we've got a couple of minutes just to make sure and allow for everyone to get settled in. Hey Hot Top, nice to see you here as well. How was your lunch? Wasn't it? You were going to go and get some lunch after your stream. Anything specifically tasty? And Ray, it's about the same time there for you as well. It's about lunchtime. Okay, let me just... Yeah, okay, I can't actually get the options up for... give me 1 second, please, people. Where is... I've got way too many tabs open. I've got way too many tabs open. Yeah. Yeah, a few things I kind of need to get managing. But I'm not 100%. Okay, there we go. Go and ban. There we go. So yes, welcome to this stream. So this is the second part of my Crusader Kings 3 stream. Bad robot indeed, yes. Very bad robot. Odd Top, lunch pretty good. Had a veggie burger. Oh, that's nice. Did you have anything interesting, Ray? So while I just get this quickly set up, so I'll do a very quick introduction for people who may not know much about Crusader Kings 3. This is basically described best as a dynasty simulator in a grand strategy wrapper. So the idea basically is that you play as a dynasty family, and the goal is generally to just get to the end of the game while your dynasty is still alive and hold some kind of land. So we've got some we've got burgers as a popular meal today. Ray, a regular cheeseburger and fries. Odd Top having a veggie burger. I almost feel a bit left out. Yeah. Well, you say very American. The ancient Romans had burgers, so... But yeah, I know what you mean. Burgers are very appropriately American, or considered American food. Hello, we're passing. How are you doing today? How's your evening? So I was just here describing Crusader Kings 3. So it is a dynasty simulator. And so I will just caution people that there are some slightly more mature aspects to this. So there is kind of talk of murder and torture and other things like that. There is a few things like that just because, well, partly because of the time that this is all set in. So we can see this family here. This is a bit misleading because I actually went and did a private game outside of the stream just so I could go ahead and see some things that were happening. So rather than continuing that one, we are going to come down here. This was where we last played. So we are King Rodri the Great. I have completely forgotten my Welsh pronunciation guide, so I may have to bring that up in a minute. So this was who we were playing, so let's load back in. Passing, still stick, fever, pain, such stuff. Oh no. Is it manageable and tolerable for you? I.e., is it just kind of the thing that's being more annoying than having an impact on you, or is it actually getting bad? So, yeah, so this is the entirety of the quote-unquote world map in Crusader Kings 3. And basically anything you see here you can play as. As for us, we are, like I said, the King of Wales. So this is the tiny, tiny little part of the world that we actually care about. All of the stuff that's going down in, you know, West Francia, maybe it'll concern us. But things like Khazaria, the Abbasids, maybe the Abbasids if we get called into a crusade. But everything over here is, yeah, that is just far off lands that we know about potentially, but we don't really care about anything. And we can lawfully imprison. Okay, I'm going to turn the game music down a little bit because it seems to be clashing with my volume. So do tell me if it's impacting the ability to hear me, and I'll fiddle around with that and just adjust it. Okay, about too long for a normal course of illness. Hope to feel better soon. NSAIDs help a little, however. That is good to hear. I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed for you that this manages to go away on its own pretty quickly, because, yeah, I know you haven't been having the best time of it, unfortunately. So, yeah, fingers crossed, and, yeah, we're always around on the Discord also to have a chat, and you can always feel free to just send me a private message as well. So basically our goal for this is we formed the Kingdom of Wales last time, and we now have aspirations to take on some of the land that England holds and build up the British Empire, kind of the opposite way around. Yeah, hope everyone here feels good. Take care of yourself, that's important. That is, yes, very, very important. Indeed. And yeah, I was in Odd Top's stream a bit earlier as well, and things were going very, very nicely. Had a she trade pop in. That was quite nice to see. A whole load of support for ya. Okay, so I think we probably should just unpause and get going rather than me nattering on for half an hour. So let's do that indeed. So we can imprison our eldest son here, because last time he actually murdered our youngest son. I'm not 100% sure why. Honestly, a better target would have been his Younger by, is that 2 year? His younger by 2 years brother. Because obviously being higher in the line of succession means that he would be getting more land. We pass in, you popped into Odd Top Stream for a little, but it was quiet. Yeah, I popped in there for a bit of lunch, like during my lunch break, and then a bit afterward. Obviously had a few things to do, had my regular day job to do. So that is just saying about a couple of marriage proposals are being accepted. So those are coming through nicely. We are unfortunately a fair bit in debt, but we are gaining over 3 gold a month. So there's no need for us to go into our court and adjust that. So this person would apparently make a decent commander. He's got 10 prowess skill. So he does have open terrain, cautious leader and forwarder. Yes, I think we will... Oh wait, we need 95 gold for that. So I will also say for the people here who are kind of new to the game, feel free to ask or throw questions into the chat if you want to understand things, and I'll explain like as best as I can and to the best of my knowledge, because while I'm familiar with Crusader Kings, I wouldn't necessarily say that I know all of the best. I pass in. By the way, I hope you don't mind if a friend of mine will draw chibi art of you. That is absolutely fine. That is that is actually more than fine. That is wonderful. Yes. Well, okay, I will say obviously some stipulations. Just obviously nothing untoward or offensive. Those are the conditions I put in. But if your friend just wants to do like a cute little chibi drawing of me, that is absolutely perfectly fine. Oh, so someone, our brother-in-law and rival, just died, so that loses us a little bit of stress. So we're under the stress level limit, so that is nice. Is there anything that we can do? Not really. Unfortunately, you kind of need money to do things that will actually de-stress you. And we've got an event available in our court. Ah, yes. So this was something that we did in the last stream. We basically had a version of the Doomsday Book, sending our steward out to our lands to accurately record how many people, or like where people lived, how many people in those houses, and how many animals. So there we go. They are all collected in this book. As long as this description is faithful to reality, your taxation will be more efficient throughout your realm. So we gain land survey for 30. That is a long time. For 30 years, and that means we get plus 5% on our vassal tax contribution. We can't hold court again for 5 years because we just did that at the end of the previous stream to show it all off. And we do have 6 vassals, so that 10% extra tax has actually meant 0.6 extra gold a month, which is, at least in this early start of the game, not bad at all. So what other options do we have? We could go up to level 2 Crown Authority. Yes. So we are potentially going to have people complaining about that and wanting to lower it, but we will just have to deal with them as the time comes. We can do a couple of new men-at-arms regiments. So this is your military force in the game. It is split up between levies, which, as it says here, consist of peasant militias, ruffians, local sellswords, and destitute nobles equipped with motley tools and improvised weapons. Their sheer numbers make up the bulk of most armies. So when you go to war, this is essentially you kind of going around to all the villages and conscripting in, say, like 10% of the people that live there. Whereas your men-at-arms are actually specifically trained people. So you put money into recruiting and maintaining and their upkeep. So, and they are much, much better at combat in all forms. Oh dear. Okay, I'm actually going to change just quickly the UI scaling, because things do seem to be overlapping slightly, and I'm not fond of that. And this music could probably do with chilling out a tiny little bit. There we go, thank you. So unfortunately, the spouse of my son and heir has passed away. So she probably died of lover's pox. Let me just have a look. No. Oh dear. Was murdered. Oh dear. Oh. If he keeps murdering people, I may have to put him in prison. Hello, Lion Shark. Yes, come we. I actually know how to pronounce that. That is one thing that I know how to pronounce without needing a guide to inform me. How has your day been? Or I suppose still going, because it's about lunchtime once again there for you. And I will give some context to this question. Did you by chance happen to have a burger for lunch? Because we had both Odd Top and Ray in the chat, and they both had burgers for lunch today. So are you going to make it a trifecta for us? How did I pronounce that? It's, well, Cumree. So, Cumree. You're gonna have a grilled cheese. Okay, I would consider that close enough to a burger to count. So anyway, apparently our son decided that his wife needed to be murdered. So let's see. We can imprison you. Oh, so we have a 0% chance of actually succeeding in arresting him. So yeah, he is a known criminal, so murdered family member, attempted to murder family member, and a kinslayer. So that gives us multiple reasons why we should arrest him. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, like, this is basically us going to him and saying, we are going to arrest you, are you going to come peacefully? And him going, no. So we could use a hook, which gives us 16%. So let's just see. And unpause. And no, didn't think so. Did not think that was going to work. So let's rally all of our troops up and head over here. So we should catch his army with no trouble, and we should have a very, very decisive victory. So admittedly, the one thing that is a bit lacking in Crusader Kings 3 are the battles. They are kind of just mostly a dice roll affair, and generally speaking, the more troops, or the person with the higher number of troops generally is the one that tends to win. Ooh. Just adjust my chair quickly. So, this Baron is... Oh, the daughter... I was going to say, it's like, it's not showing me the right person, but no. This is saying that she's the daughter of this person, married to one of our sons. And look at that, she is beautiful. So in Crusader Kings, you have traits that are education based, which are, well, this is basically a person's education. There are 5 different types, and it can go from level 1 or 1 star all the way up to 4 stars, which is the best one. And then some characters like this person here, can have genetic traits. Now these can both be positive and negative, and they also have different levels or degrees. So beautiful is the top tier, well, basically the top tier appearance or attractiveness trait, and this girl has inherited that, which is fantastic to see. So we can potentially see if there's anyone we could betroth her to who has, yep, we've got someone who has exactly the same trait. So if we got these two people, or her betrothed to this person, and they both lived long enough to get married and have children, then I believe that is basically every single, like, basically there is a 100% chance that every single child will get that trait. Lion Shark, I feel like Welsh was made by some person on crack. Yeah, the thing is, it is, like, it's not an Anglic or Germanic language like English is, so yeah, it does look to be absolutely bizarre to an English speaker, but there is logic to all the pronunciations. So long as you can actually remember the pronunciation rules, then the words themselves will actually be pretty easy to remember. And speaking of that, actually, I will just quickly bring up, let's see, let's get Google Translate up, and so let's just listen.
Cymru.
Yeah, I did think I was pronouncing that correctly. Yes, it's Cymru. So in every single situation, the C is pronounced as a harsh K, a Y is pronounced as a long as a U, M and R are the same as in English, and U is pronounced as an E, and that will be true for every single instance of those letters being used. Oh, no, I'm not even going to attempt that. No, 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 you are not going to trick me with that. So, yeah, so there is a, if you're not aware of it, there is a place name in Wales, which is like one of the longest place names in the world, at 51 characters, or according to Wikipedia, 51 letters, because obviously some of them are like translated into English. So actually, let me just... Oh, they do actually have a pronunciation thing on Wikipedia for this.
Llanfair Pwllgwyngyll Goger Chwrndrobwll Llantysilio Gogogoch.
There you go. That is how that place is pronounced. There you go. So yeah, that is one of the longest place names in the world, and it is always one of the ones that gets kind of batted around as an example. But yes, anyway, so back to what I was saying. It sounds like a good tongue twister. Yes, it probably can be one of those things where it can be. So as I was saying about the genetic traits here, we've got the level 1 like beauty trait here, which is comely, I'm not quite sure. Do we have the level 2 one? Yes, we do. We've got the level 2 one here, and then the level 3 one. So for each level, this one gives a character +1 diplomacy, +20% fertility, and +10 attraction opinion. And then we also have the genius traits. So we get that one as quick, which is +1 to all stats and +10% monthly lifestyle experience. Level 2 here of intelligent, which is +3 to all stats and +20%. And we do have an example of the top tier one of Genius. +5 to all stats and plus 30% monthly lifestyle experience. So yes, there is a shorter version of that place. So sometimes it is just shortened to, and I'll just chuck this into Google Translate again as well.
Planverpel.
Planverpel. So Planverpel is what it's shortened to, or Planverpel PG. So Line Shark, in culinary class today, teacher put up on TV a slide telling all the mistakes his students made while working cookies, and one of the mistakes oh my goodness, one of the mistakes was used 11.5 cups of flour instead of 1.5 cups. How do you make that mistake and not question it? Well, the thing is, if that person suitably scaled up everything else by, what's that, about 7 times, it would have been absolutely fine. They just would have had 7 times as many cookies that they could have sold out during lunch and made a good profit. Odd top sounds like something I do. That's why I can't be a doctor. I would make a comment about you being a cyborg, and thus you should know mathematics, but that is probably going to be in poor taste. We pass in the student with an AI and teacher used the wrong input. Okay. Okay, yeah, yep. Alright, so the third trait that we have is like the hail trait, which gives bonuses to prowess, health, and attraction once again. So you have level 1, which is hail, level 2, which is robust, and we have an example with level 3 as well, which is Herculean. So there is, it's not an achievement, but you can consecrate the bloodline if you happen to have all 3 of these. So the strength, the beauty, and the brains, for more or less a quick description. And one of them does have to be level 3, but you can consecrate the bloodline if you happen to be the ruler that has that. And that means that all of these traits become much, much more common. So we will actually try this, get her betrothed to a 9-year-old who has the robust trait, and see what happens there. And, oh, this is one of the quote-unquote problems of having 8 children. 7 of them alive. You tend to end up with a lot of grandchildren notifications popping up. So, odd top. Look, it sounded right at the time. Yeah. Yeah, the thing is, you would kind of expect, like, especially if you know how many cookies you're going to be making. Like, if you knew how many cookies you were expecting to make, you would have thought something would have twigged about the 3rd cup of flour that they'd put in. So, daughter-in-law Sophie has given birth to 2 children. Guine? Pronunciation guide, please help me out. Okay, Welsh pronunciation. So, D is always hard, a hard sound. W is... where are you? As in, like the French oui. Y is... okay, I'm not sure on that one because Y has different pronunciation options. So, win. And Line Shark, England be like Shire, Shire, Shire. Yes, there. I think there is a place in England. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but if you translate it, it does end up being hill, 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 hill. Simply because, like, we had obviously all these influences and languages come in, and they just named it the same thing, which was hill, and they just used the same word, or like obviously they just used hill but in different languages for it all. Ah yes, here we go. Torpenhow. Full name Torpenhow Hill, which is made up of the let me just see. So that comes from Tor in Old English, Pen from Old Welsh, and How or Hora from Old Norse. So Torpenhow Hill, 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 hill. Yes, you're learning all sorts of things about fun English and Welsh place names today. And Line Shark, yeah, I'm in a state in New England, so we get a load of those British and mostly English names. Yes, yes. So anyway, the boy doesn't really have any genetic traits, and the girl has beautiful. So we will do the same thing again, make sure it's a matrilineal match, and find her... yeah, I think we'll match her up with the other one who has the beautiful trait. Toponyms in each country have their own charm. We're passing. Yeah, they do. I mean, it's obviously that we are amused by it, but yes, it can be quite interesting how different places have interesting names like that. And I'm pretty sure that that Welsh place with a long name, it is like it has, like it is a proper verbal description of the place. It's not just something that the Welsh decided to just name for a laugh. There we go. We have won the siege. We have won the war. We can enforce demands, put our son into prison. So I did test this out in like my own personal save. Unfortunately, disinheriting him also disinherits all of his children. So even if he did have a son, we wouldn't be able to play as the son if he died. Unfortunately, because we are under Confederated partition, our land is all going to go everywhere when we die anyway. So it could be argued... I was going to say it could be argued, but no, our second son has 3 sons. So that would just... or that would just mean that we have chaos when our grandchildren become of age. So for now, it is obviously our son who I am going to move into the dungeon. Because, well, I don't really want to play as him, and unfortunately, if I kill him myself, I will get the Kinslayer trait, which is not exactly a good thing to have. Let me just say that. So if he does manage to die before we do, then we will get to play as our granddaughter here, and she is basically married to someone who is of no note. Our second granddaughter from that son has the inverse of the genius trait, so yes, she is not blessed with intellect, rather unfortunately, because that just seems to be a completely random trait that came out of nowhere. Else, our son's wife was seeing someone else. The third daughter has the Hale trait, so she did inherit a genetic trait from her mother, unfortunately level 1, not level 2, and her betrothed is in prison and is basically missing half his face. He is considered disfigured. And then the fourth child has a lisp. So, all things considered, not a great branch of the family. Line Shark, random thought, why are most American accents so bland? You sound a million times more refined compared to everyone here. Or anyone here, rather. Except that Scottish lady on the Connecticut NPR station. Oh, I think I remember seeing something that at least tried to explain it. And honestly, I think part of it is that for such a long time, obviously you had all these little communities that were not insular as such, but you never really... I think the saying or phrase was like, you never moved more than 7 miles from where you were born. Because obviously there weren't really many transport options. So accents developed in a very small area. So that would be why you kind of have such a like massive varied amount. And I mean, even nowadays, I have what is or considered and called an estuary accent. So you have your kind of Cockney accent, which is the horrible stereotypical one that people try to put on, and then you have received pronunciation, which is the one where you hear the good lady Queen Elizabeth II speaking, the one that is very prim and proper. And estuary is pretty much almost just everything in between in London, because London was where I was born, grew up and everything, so you can still hear like differences between accents. So basically, or essentially, if we're talking Crusader Kings 2 or Crusader Kings 3-esque stuff, so I was born in yeah, so I would have been like in the actual barony of London myself. And yeah, so in comparison for America, because the British decided to go over there, drive out the local natives and lay claims to all of the land themselves. And I think because it was done in such large groups and communities, and it was kind of a more kind of joint effort to move across the country, then you had people settling down from wider areas and kind of consolidating their accents more globally is the wrong word, but you would obviously have less accent range if you were one of a few thousand people going across to, say, settle in, let me think of a good state. Yeah, this is going to be tricky. Obviously none on the East Coast because those developments did take some time. So yeah, so you'd probably have a more standard or standardized accent across people if you were one of a few thousand going to establish a town in, say, Ohio. But yeah, we are experiencing quite a lot of that with our accents. Oh, okay, apparently I needed to really disband our army because we were losing so much gold there. We are slowly starting to actually consolidate our accents, so it does mean that some of the more local accents are starting to unfortunately fade away. But we obviously do have the option of technology, recording and everything. So while they might disappear from the local spoken lexicon, they will still be around in some form, even if no one really speaks them. So, but yeah, if you want to have some real fun with English accents, go and watch the movie Hot Fuzz, because there is one character that talks in there. He's a farmer, and to quite a lot of people, he kind of just seems to be going, meh, 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 but he is actually saying genuine stuff. Hello, Blue Cornflower. How's your day been today? We are deep in Crusader Kings 3 territory, as you can see. Our son, we tried to arrest him because it turns out he had killed not only his youngest brother, but he also killed his own wife. Blue Cornflower, that sounds like the King of the Hill rambling guy. Yeah, let me actually see if I can find it quickly. So, Hot Fuzz Farmer. So anyway, this person in the movie is a West Country accent.
Why do we need the dog? It's not the dog we need.
So yeah, that was it, like about 5 seconds or so. So yeah, that's the farmer that they talk to, and the cop or the police officer who has come from, I'm not sure if he's come from London or just a more metropolitan area, is just absolutely confounded by that. Oh, yep, sorry. I wasn't 100% sure if people could hear it. Let me just get the proper link up. So it is genuinely just like 5 seconds long as an example. So there's for people to peruse it at your leisure. A more recent quote-unquote example would probably be one of the suitors from... no, I'm not going to let you out of prison, no way. One of the suitors from Brave. Like, everyone obviously has their own Scottish accents, but there is one person there whose accent is pretty incomprehensible even to the other characters in the movie. Great. Okay, our son's escaped. And Blue Cornflower, did I arrange both plots, as in both murders? No, no. How could you say that? I would never plot to kill my own son. I'd arrest him after he did it and throw him in the dungeon so my hands would be clean when he died, but no, I wouldn't arrange to murder him. Plus, you can't actually arrange to murder your own children in this game unless you have a specific trait. But we'll ignore that. We pass in, don't know much about, or almost anything about accents in English. You're the second British streamer I can understand, probably caused mostly by my poor English and real features of British English. Oh, I will say, yeah, some accents can be a little tricky to understand even for native speakers. Like, if you're not really exposed to the accent on a regular basis, it can take a moment to remember and realise and get your brain working and actually understand what someone's been saying to you. And yeah, I can... Well, let me just say, I am incredibly envious of anyone who knows a second language well enough to converse in it, because I spent so many years at school learning German, and I only barely managed to scrape a pass in the exams. Hello, little brethren. How are you doing today? So anyway, our son has unfortunately escaped prison. He did ask us to try and ransom him out. So that may have been... Yeah, unfortunately we can't re-imprison him because he is... Oh! Okay, that's good. That's good. Blue cornflower. The accent the farmer is using in that video is a West County accent. So that is... I'm just trying to think of what an equivalent accent in the US may be. It's a very kind of rural accent. Yeah, it's probably one of the less common accents because, oh, little brethren, we were having a long discussion about differences in accents and such earlier, and I posted up a video of a clip from a movie called Hot Fuzz. And it's basically sounds like the person who's speaking is just mumbling nonsense, but he is actually saying genuine stuff. The West County accent can be traced all the way back to the West Saxon dialects that later developed into Old English. Yeah, that sounds about right. So it is an accent that is quite old. And yeah, one of the ones that can be difficult to follow if you're not familiar with it. And yes, indeed, Lion Shark, we did indeed die at a nice age. So I was a little bit panicked when I saw this because in my test game where I was playing as a Viking count, I ended up getting poisoned. So it was a bit of a oh no, has our son decided to kill us as well? But no, so died of old age. So our son ascends to the throne at age 39. And many fear for what the realm will turn into under his rule, because apparently he is a true sadist. So we have unfortunately lost a bunch of titles because, well, we're on Gavelkind. That splits our domain up, and we can't really do anything about that for a good long while. And we just honestly have our lineage. Yeah, the 23 was how many years we have reigned for. So despite the fact that he was on the throne for much longer than that, it only shows the 23 years because that is the time that we played him as. So we need to continue as our sadistic, murdering, kinslaying, callous son. So yes. Okay. So vengeful is not the trait. There is a trait, I cannot remember what it is, but it means that you can, it may actually be sadistic, like genuinely sadistic. That means that you can actually plot against the plot against your own children. So our Archbishop does not endorse us. We have an empty council. Little brethren, yes, kinslayer. And odd top with the assassinations and whatnot. 23 might not be too much of a stretch for a nice age. Yeah. Yeah, you can unfortunately get into some situations where if you are absolutely despised, you just have all of your characters dying left, right and centre. So let me see. So we do have what are called and considered powerful vassals up here. This is basically how powerful they consider themselves to be versus us in terms of, I think it's military might, and it may or may not be other things. And yes, yep, everyone hates us because we murdered our baby brother. We can see here, was murdered by you, on the 22nd of April, 874 at age 9. So we decided for some reason to bump off our little brother who was only 9 years old. So these people are going to be angry because they are not on the council. They're also going to be angry for other reasons. So like vengeful, kinslayer, murderer. They didn't like the previous character. So we're going to be dealing with the fallout on this pretty quickly. And honestly, I will not be surprised if we have a couple of factions against us to put one of our brothers onto the throne instead. So thankfully, we've got a pretty good Chancellor, a pretty good Marshal, an astounding Steward, but we don't have a good Spy Master who wants to be on the council. So we're probably going to have to pick someone who is hopefully someone who has a positive enough opinion of us and is decent enough at being a Spy Master. Otherwise, you know, Spy Masters are the one person you really want to have on your side. So anyway, our brother goes in there. You go in there. You go in there. And who do we decide for our Spy Master? Who is genuinely the best? And who likes us the best? Yeah, these aren't good options at all. So I think we are going to have to go with this random courtier who has a 2-star education but is reasonably decent at intrigue and doesn't completely despise us. So I am just saying this now. Dog, please do not join any plots to assassinate us. Okay? Okay. And of course, because we have our brothers on the council, even though they are council members, so they don't have the negative of that anymore. So Callus -5, Kinslayer -10, Title Claimant -20, Ambitious -15, Short Reign -20, Liege holds de jure Duchy -25, Kinslayer -5, Personal Diplomacy -3, Vengeful -10. Kinslayer is on there 3 times, I've just noticed. Oh, and I've also just noticed that you guys can't actually see that. Whoops. Okay, I'll do it this way instead. So you can see it on the left-hand side instead now. Odd Top, you love this music. Yeah, there can be some really good selections of music for Crusader Kings 3. So, yeah. The plus 25 for being siblings and the plus 10 for being on the council are kind of cancelled out by things like murdered family member, attempted to murder family member, Kinslayer being on there 3 times, so yeah. Who wants to take bets on how long it will be before we actually get any factions in? But also because of that, we want to actually see, can we get any bodyguards in? So we can get 2 bodyguards. Unfortunately, the only one who has any decent aptitude is this person. Food taster. The best one is our sister, who absolutely hates our guts. We don't want that. Cupbearer. Someone who's good. -38, so I am actually going to risk it. I know that's going to be dangerous. You know what, I don't know who you are, so I'm just going to let you go. So we can hold court. We need to choose a decision, so we will go for military. And I think honestly this character is going to be one that racks up a fair amount of dread, so we'll choose the authority focus for that. What else do we need? So we are not married and our heir is not married either. So fertile and inheritable, make sure that is selected. make sure it is matrilineal. Sort by age. How old are you? 21. So we don't really have good options. Plus also some of them are related. So it won't be a good idea to, you know, try and inbreed the family too much. So I know there's a huge age gap, but let's just see if that will be successful in any way. And you also needed a spouse, didn't you? So age and matrilineal. Let's see, and you are 12. So unfortunately we got nephew, nephew, nephew. Let's just do this random person. Yeah, there can be some quite epic music, especially when you get into things like the Crusades. So we can hold court. How much money? Okay, so we are losing 0.2 a month. Hopefully most of that is honestly just because people hate us and don't really want to pay taxes to us. But we can sort that out quickly if we go to our court. And court to grandeur. So if we change that down to outmodded fashion, that means we are now just about making a profit. And we obviously need to get married as well. So do I risk just options going in the chat? Do I risk marrying myself to a woman who is fertile and has a good genetic trait in the hopes that we will get a one singular son who all of our own territory can go to? Or do we try and find someone who has good stats, won't give us children, and we just let our daughters fight it out when we die? Because it is going to be, you know, we are going to be inevitable. So the cutoff for having children in this game seems to be about 45. It seems to be about 45. So even though we've got some people here of that age. Oh, and that is some jaunty music going on. We'll have a look at that in a moment. But we do have someone, so we've got a 37-year-old here who's got beautiful, 40-year-old who's got intelligent. We've got someone here who's got haemophilia. We don't want to breed that into the family. We've got... Okay, never mind. Ignore that one. I was going to say, oh, we've got a 16-year-old here who's got pretty, but no, that's our niece. We don't want to marry our niece. We got Princess of Italy, but yeah, you know, she's 7 years old. We're going to be waiting a while. So yeah, I'll leave that up to chat. Do we marry someone who can potentially give us a son, or do we marry someone to bolster up our stats? Yeah, so if I actually look at some of the vassals, I'm pretty sure... maybe I'm misremembering some things slightly, but... Oh my goodness, okay, yes, this music is really going for it, isn't it? But yeah, each vassal kind of has a minimum that they can give. On top, what kind of chaos will happen if we don't have a son? Well, if we manage to have one singular son, so we hold 4 titles at the moment. We have the Kingdom of Wales, the Principality of Gwynedd, and 2 earldoms. So basically what will happen is, so we can see here, so the Kingdom of Wales title will go to our eldest daughter. The Principality will also go to her. This earldom will go to our second daughter, and then this one will go to our first daughter. So we will lose out on this, like this little bit of territory will go to our second daughter, which will reduce the amount of troops and money that we will be able to get. Okay, so anyway, the music's finally chilled out a bit, so mercy for the mercenaries. The bustle of an inn, a fine cider, a calm evening after a long day of training. My tankard is knocked out of my hand by a mercenary reeling from a blow, and all hopes of relaxation drains away into the floor along with my cider. Please, my lord. Kuner's thugs have been drinking me dry without paying for days, and their fighting is scaring the staff and guests. So we can pay 75 gold. Mercenary hire cost minus 10%. I think there's no end date on that, so that may actually be permanent. That could be a good thing to consider. Or we could say just soldiers throw them out, so we get expunged bandits for 10 years, which gains us popular opinion. And either way, we will gain 50 martial lifestyle experience points. So we've got the money. Yes, I will say that we will pay for our drink. Or we will pay for your drinks, rather. Because having a 10% reduction on this would be interesting. So this was a change from Crusader Kings 2, whereas in Crusader Kings 2 you had a initial payment to hire a mercenary band, and then you had a monthly cost. Instead, in Crusader Kings 3, if you want to hire them, then it's an upfront cost for 3 years, and after that I think you have the option to renew it for another 3 years, or you can say to them essentially, yes, thank you for your help, I don't need you anymore, or I can't afford you. Which is a slight shame, because it was interesting in some Crusader Kings 2 games where you were at war and the opposing side had a mercenary company. The opposing side couldn't afford to pay them anymore, and so the mercenaries defected over to your side. I had that happen on occasion. That was quite a fun few events. So yeah, if you can, well, if you have a gender preference inheritance law on top, it can be much more beneficial to prevent yourself from having any more children once you just have that one child, whether that be male preference or female preference. Especially if you are unlucky enough to be early enough in the game that you are basically still trying to research basic things like, you know, how crop rotation works, how siege weapons work. What if it's twins? Do you mean as in you have, say, twin boys in general? Then yeah, you are pretty much in the same situation, because obviously you still have an older one and a younger one, so your realm will be divided up depending on your specific rules and laws. So yeah, that is one unfortunate option. So this is our third daughter has come of age. She's got a 4-star mastermind philosopher education, so she could be a good court tutor. So let's get these two married off. Oh wait, children born of this marriage will be... oh dear. Oh, whoops, that wasn't thought out very well. Okay, we'll cancel that then. Break the betrothal. Especially seeing as he's probably not going to be around for too long. Blue cornflower, is it possible... oh, it's possible to have twins which are different sex, at least in real life. Yes, it's possible in the game as well. We actually had one of our... goodness, where was it? So yes, here we had these two children born. So a boy and a girl, twins, as you can see from this icon here, which means that they have a plus 15 opinion of each other, which I always find really adorable. So yes, you can have twins and you can have fraternal twins as well. I'm not sure if the game codes in an option to allow for identical twins or not, but yes, you can have 2 boys, you can have 2 girls, or you can have a boy and a girl. You can never have more than twins. So you can never have more than twins. So anyway, we probably need to find you a new spouse. And once again, we will trawl through the options, try and find someone who is half decent. Okay, you do have the hail trait, so it would actually be beneficial if we got you betrothed to someone who also has that trait, because this means potentially that they can actually bump up to the next level. So we can see as both parents have this trait, it will get inherited. This trait might intensify, resulting in robust. So if you play the dating game right, even if you have a bunch of characters with just the base level 1 physical inheritable traits like this, if you are able to marry them off to the same people and get lucky with the children, then you can actually work your way up to getting the level 3 traits. So blue cornflower hail in the game is one of 3 positive genetic traits. Basically, this is the physical strength one. So it gives you a boost to your prowess, which is like your fighting skill, gives you a small boost to your health, and also gives you a small attraction opinion. So it can turn into robust, so this is the level 2 version of it, which you can see kind of doubles up the prowess and attraction opinion and goes from a small health boost to medium. And then from there it can go to, depending on whether the character is female or male, Herculean, which I know gives 8 plus 8 prowess. The other traits are, let me just see. Oh, okay, our eldest daughter has become melancholic, which is very disappointing to see. So here we can see the Herculean trait. Yeah, unfortunately she's depressed. So yes, not a good situation all around. So is he actually? What's going on in our court? What is going on in our court? So yes, this is the, well, I call them like the brains, the brawn, and the beauty. That's better. There we go, the 3 B's, the alliteration. So you've got one that gives you, one means that you're prettier than average, one means that you're stronger than average, and one means that you're smarter than average. So we do have a new lifestyle perk here. So let's go for Bellum Justum and get Casus Belli costs down by 50%, because we do obviously have an eye on potentially getting some of England's territory at some point. And I think that we will get married and we will see if we can hope for someone that has some good traits. Because honestly, even if it doesn't 100% work out, we do have an option to take up to 3 concubines. So unfortunately the options for us are a 40-year-old who has the fecund, I think that's how you pronounce it, trait, which increases fertility by 50%, and someone who does have the level 2 beauty one, but is also our niece, so there will be potentially some inbreeding there. 1 second, let me just... There we go, okay. Just allow that turn, because yes, we are talking about it in a proper historical context. So do concubine sons count as illegitimate? No, they do actually count as genuine legitimate children. Let me see if I can find it. So child of... So there is a trait here called Child of Concubine. So it gives them a -1 to their diplomacy skill, but they are still eligible and potentially in line for inheritance. Note, we don't marry concubines. There is a small difference. So Islamic rulers and some pagan rulers, if we come here, so they will have a primary spouse, and if their laws allow it, they can have secondary spouses. But naturally, given the historical essence of this game, it tends to be men are allowed to have multiple wives, women are only allowed to have one husband. So the secondary spouses you will marry and will have to go through divorce proceedings, whereas concubines, we can just choose to set them aside at whatever time we so want. The only exception with that, I believe, carried over from Crusader Kings 2 is if they are pregnant. So unfortunately you can't decide to set them aside and basically the child be born illegitimate. You have to wait until the child has been born before you can set them aside. So claim on the earldom of the Isle of Man. Yeah, you know what, I don't really mind about that. So we've accepted the hand in marriage. So one thing that people can and tend to metagame about is that they will marry. Obviously this doesn't work too well if you're a female ruler, but if you're a male ruler, then it can be a bit fun to metagame it by marrying yourself to a wife who has high stats but is infertile or too old to have children, and then pick up a concubine or two along the way, wait for a pregnancy or two. If you get a son, put aside all of your concubines and just focus your attention on that one child. If it's a daughter, continue allowing them to get pregnant and have children. Upasin, can you share a Russian joke about it? Sure, go ahead. I presume it is actually going to be translated into English and it's not just going to be in Cyrillic for us. But yeah, feel free to put a joke in. Okay, so Lotharingia has died, which means our alliance has expired. And I don't think they really had too much military influence on us anyway. Blue cornflower. Oh, I see. That way you can make sure you have only one child, or at least one child of the appropriate gender that you want, which, again, with the historical context of this game, tends to be, obviously, male preference. So we will just have to wait and see if we do get a couple of children. Okay, apparently our wife already had a child, and look at that. Okay, so we will obviously just wait and see, because our wife is now pregnant. We will have to wait and see if we get any sons or not. And if we don't and she gets too old, we may have to consider seeing if we can invite people to our court and making them into concubines. So I have aspirations, and those aspirations are telling me go to Cornwall. So we do have our Archbishop here. Because of our local custom and laws, we cannot actually replace our Archbishop as we wish. That will only be, like, a new one will be appointed upon this person's death. But thankfully, because he has decent skill, he has the opportunity and potential to get a claim on the duchy rather than just the county area. Blue cornflower, you did ask this earlier. Both murders, did I plot them? And like I said, no. This was all done by the AI through this character. Like, he just up and decided that he was going to murder his younger brother, and then up and decided he was going to murder his wife. Okay, Upasin. A woman came to Confucius and asked what was the difference between polygamy and polygyny. Confucius put 5 teapots and 5 cups in front of her and said, 4 tea into 5 cups from 1 teapot. Do you like it? I like it, agreed the woman. And now, on the contrary, pour into 1 cup from 5 teapots. Do you like it? Even more like it, the woman said. What a fool, yelled Confucius. Such a parable ruined. Okay, yeah, that's a fun one. So we have so this is a potential path to lead down to the gardener trait. So a merchant has sent me samples of seeds, plants she claims are good for health and mind. I must admit I have little experience in nurturing plants, but how hard could it be? So we can say I will use these to start a private garden. So 19% chance we gain the trait herbalist. 59% chance we gain seeker of knowledge. So we don't grow things, but we do get what is that? +1 learning for 10 years, or 21% of basically nothing happening. Oh, we could say they must be worth something and gain 15 gold. Okay, so if that had been like 50 gold, I would have been tempted to go for it. But let's see. No, okay. We got an extra point of learning for 10 years, which is nice. So we can see down here that the progression for Fabricate Claim is going along at a steady rate. We're probably going to have to save up a bit of money for it because duchy claims can be a fair bit expensive. So we might be able to claim that, and then oh, okay, I was coming down here to investigate Brittany, but no, Wessex has taken that. Okay, you've been a bit busy, Wessex. And also we do have a couple of Viking territories here. So we have Jorvik and Suthrenja. Maybe? Yeah, I'm not good with Norse either. We do still have some fractured Scottish or Gaelic and a tiny bit of Norse. Lothian. So that was Norse but Catholic. And yeah, Scotland does look very weird at the moment. So we've got the Kingdom of Alba. We have a Earldom of Lothian. We have the Earldom of Albany. We have the Petty Kingdom of Strathclyde. Don't let the King or Petty Kingdom fool you. That is a duchy title, just in a different name. And the Sooth something or other. The pink region looks gerrymandered. Yes, it does a bit, doesn't it? This is basically because Jorvik is the Viking for York. So that is like this area over here. So because that is their primary title, as they've taken land over here from Northumbria, it's obviously just stretched that across. Yes. Unfortunately, Ragnar has territory that is kind of split in half. So, and we have... Oops, I didn't mean to pin that. A daughter. She does have the pretty trait, which is a nice thing, because that is always good to get in the family. Oh. Ooh, okay, that is tempting. That is really, really tempting right there. So a child with the rather unfortunate, or unfortunate in modern day terms, name of Adolf has the Herculean trait, and getting both of those into the family line would be excellent. So we will send that off, and we will just keep trying for or I say another son, we will keep trying for a son, one singular. So Mercia, you do have a couple of allies that they look like, let me just see. Where are you? Where are you? Yeah, I did prefer it in Crusader Kings 2, where you could actually... Oh, there you are. Okay, so it would take you a while to kind of come over here. And then the other one is a vassal under you. So I don't believe you can call those vassals into wars. Unfortunately, their military strength is indeed superior to ours. East Anglia is similar. So if we were managed to come down here and get the petty kingdom of Cornwall, then we could potentially come through and grab East Anglia and start building up our power base. It would unfortunately mean that we'd be pretty split apart because we'd have Wales, but then we'd need to go into the water to get to Cornwall, and then obviously all the across the water again to go over to East Anglia. So we've got one of our vassals has come to us to basically pay homage to us. So this can, in my test run that I did with a Viking, this can fail, and you do have an option to either kind of forgive them and let it pass, or you can humiliate them. So we gain a little bit of prestige, so do they. We gain a bit of court grandeur, and our dynasty gains a tiny bit of renown as well. So what messages have... Well, yes, we knew she was a fornicator when we married her, so I'm not going to worry about that. We can assign a guardian for our 15-year-old daughter, so we might as well just do that ourselves. This daughter can get married. You had one of those genetic traits. What is a fornicator? I'll answer that in a moment because there is like a description in for the icon. I can never remember. There were two of them. So yes, we will get you two married off. We can declare war on this petty king. Interesting. That's interesting. Because we... Okay, we just have a claim on the Isle of Man. Okay. So, let's just go over here. So, fornicator. This icon took me absolutely forever to realise what it was supposed to be indicating. So, fornicator, copulated outside of wedlock. There is also another trait, which is adulterer, which is presumably or copulated outside of wedlock while also being married. So, incognito. Tonight I stripped myself of every symbol signifying my rank to walk anonymously among my soldiers. An infantryman is trying to convince his commander, my son-in-law Milo, of the advantages of an alternate strategy. Milo will hear none of it. So, step in and protect the soldier. So, 0% chance we defeat the officer in unarmed combat. 100% the officer defeats us. And 33% chance we gain wounded. Make an example out of them. So, we gain 36 dread. And Milo here gains wounded and loses 20 opinion. Okay, so our... Right, so that is, he's married to one of our daughters. Or sneak away and take credit. Well, like I said, I think we are going to be a character that focuses on quite a bit of dread games, so we will say we'll make an example out of them. And yeah, wearing the male mittens looks really silly. I don't think that those are really practical for everyday use. Oh, let's have a look at this. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna actually just take a couple of minutes or a minute or so away, and I'll just leave this image of our royal court for the moment. But yeah, I'm really excited to have a look at this event when I get back in a moment. Okay, so in chat, raise your hand or make a comment if you like cats. So, I think I found the reason why some days are more rat-free than others. My vassal, Mayor, happily declares as he moves aside to reveal a servant holding a very displeased cat. It wiggles in an attempt to free itself from the scratched up arms of the servant. Aww. Meowling in a rather endearing fashion. I'd say this one is a successful rat hunter. In fact, it was in the middle of a wrestling match with a fat one when we found it. What say you? Should we adopt this cat? So, those male mitts would have come in. Yes, that's probably actually the one time. That is probably actually one time it would have come in useful. So I really need to actually set up a proper view for the game and my avatar, because I am obviously kind of blocking a fair amount of the stuff for the court here. So I'll try and sort it out for a future stream. But I'll read out the options. So we have, I'd love to have a female companion. So we gain pet cat, which gives us +1 intrigue and +1 learning. And if this is anything like having a pet dog, I believe you can pet your cat and reduce stress. I believe you can pet your cat and reduce stress. We can have an option of, why don't you take the cat since you were the one that found it? So our mayor here will be the one to gain the pet cat, so that will give him the bonuses and +30 opinion of us, declining at a rate of 1.2 opinion a year. Or we could say no cat this time, in which case the mayor loses 10 opinion of us and we just don't get a cat. Okay, so blue cornflower, raised hands. On top, pet cat, yes. Okay, I think that is, yeah. I think that is a, we'd love a female companion. Oh. No, a female companion is called a concubine. Oh, okay. A feline companion. And I'd absolutely love it if we could actually get a little breeding chain here with the cats, as I know that we can do with the horses. Oh, that is some fun, happy music. Blue cornflower, hope the cat shows up in court or on your lap. Yes, that is actually a good point. I'll have to check the royal court to see if the little kitty fluff is there. Speaking of, my own little kitty fluff has just walked into the room. So, we have options for a name for the cat. So we could say Paws, or like automatic options, Paws, Mittens or Snow. Or we can actually just type in an option ourselves. So what do we think? So apparently this is a cat with white fur. So should we name her? Apparently this is a female cat as well. So should we indeed name her something relating to her white fur and snow? Should we just give her a cute name about paws and mittens? Or should we try and think of something else? I wonder. Let me actually just look up. Let me see. Because one option that we can actually do is look for some Welsh names for a cat. So I'm not probably going to be able to pronounce these appropriately. But let's just have a look. So what can we have? Those are male names. Hello, Jazzy. How has your day been today? Thank you for popping in. Hope things have been going well for you. Blue cornflower, no idea for the names. That is fine. I'm just honestly having a look. So we could actually... I think I will go for this name. So let me just... So I think this is just pronounced as it is written, Blodwen, which means white flower in Welsh, and with a white little kitty, I think that probably suits her. So let's do that one then. We will name our little kitty Blodwen. And let's go to our court. Can I see a little kitty? Unfortunately. Okay, it may take a moment. So it could take a moment to appear, or it could be an option where, no, unfortunately we don't get to see the little kitty. But we can go into the decisions here, and there we go. There we go. We can pet our cat. Jazzy, took an amazing nap so you're good. Your nails came out super cute. That is brilliant to hear. A good nap is always amazing. It's always fun when you do or make something or do something and it turns out as you or even better than you expected. Passing cats are cute, I guess. Yeah, well, so long as you don't hate them, you're still welcome here. Don't worry. Don't worry, yeah, but I am very, very much a cat person. Jazzy, your accent is quite lovely. Yeah, thank you. We actually had a bit of a discussion about that earlier and kind of saying that it's interesting that how the British Isles, despite being so small, has what seems to be quite a variety of accents compared to the United States. So anyway, it is time to take a deep breath and find my trusted four-legged companion. Some people say cats are evil and selfish creatures, but no matter how tough life gets... But no matter how tough life gets, I know she will always be there for me. So we can pet our cat once every 5 years. We will lose some stress. And I will tick that to notify us when this decision becomes available. And we can pet our cat. There we go. As soon as she spots me, she meows and saunters over, rubbing up against my leg. I spend many minutes crouched by her side, petting her and scratching her under the chin. And when I stand back up, I feel lighter than I have in a long time. Jazzy, my cats know when I'm down or in pain. Oh yeah, that's nice when that happens. That's nice that they're able to come and hopefully help you feel a little bit better. And on top, once every 5 years. Yeah, I know it sounds like a really long time, but Crusader Kings 3 and the series as a whole is a game that kind of you expect to be playing for a few hundred years, so time does go by pretty quickly. Time does tend to go by pretty quickly. So that has lost us 10 stress, but that is nice because it is a free option to reduce our stress levels a little bit. On top, pet's cat. Okay, see you in 5 years, bud. Yeah, it does seem a little bit like that. Yeah, or when we started this stream, we were in the year 887 and we're in the year 892, so 5 years, depending on what happens, can go by in a reasonable amount of time. And apparently we do have 2 councillors, or 2 people who want to be on the council and are annoyed that they are not. Unfortunately, I don't have anyone that I really want to get rid of. Our spy master still hates us, but he is also terrified. So the odds of him actually acting against us are reduced. Hello, Six-Eared Sage. Waiting for me to make new cultures. Yes, unfortunately that may be a bit of... might take us a bit of time because we are in a bit of a holding pattern at the moment. I have got our councillor, our archbishop, coming down here to fabricate a claim on parts of or the Cornish petty kingdom of Cornwall. That won't allow us to merge a culture because we cannot create a hybrid culture with something that has the same heritage as ours. So we will have to wait until we actually get into England proper and start forming up things with the Anglo-Saxon religion to start forming a hybrid culture. And I was also reading this wrong last time. So the cultural acceptance of Anglo-Saxon needs to be higher than 40 rather than lower. So even when we take over some land, we still need to get the cultural acceptance together. So yes, I am genuinely sorry that we can't do it sooner, Six-Eared Sage, but I'm hoping that we will be able to proceed through it within the next few streams. Okay, so our daughter and heir has had a son. He does have the first level of Herculean. Jazzy, game looks cool. Odd top, so much depth. Yes, there is indeed. Of course, you weren't here for the start, Jazzy, so let me just zoom out. So, to badly imitate the Lion King, everything you see here is a playable character. Everything you see here is a playable character. So, there are 2 start dates as well. So, there is 867, which is kind of considered, at least for the western part of Europe, the age of the Vikings. And then you have 1066, which obviously you have the 3-way war for whoever controls the Kingdom of England. But yes, if you want to do so, you can come down here, play as this character in Africa. They all have their own religion, they all have their own culture. Everyone has a mix of personality traits, educational traits, and lifestyle traits. Or you could come over here and play as an Indian empire. So, and again, we can see here, so they're part of the Jain faith, and there's their culture. Six-Eared Sage, the only thing I dislike about the Crusader Kings games, or Paradox in general, is the war sim aspect. Compared to other games, every other aspect is great. I was saying that earlier when we actually were having a battle, it is very much just a dice roll where 95% of the time it is just if you have the bigger numbers, then you will win the battle. Yes, Jazzy, it was honestly genuinely just a random pick. I don't think it's Black History Month in the UK. Let me actually just check, because I think Black History Month is later in the year for us. So that was a nice yeah, okay. For the UK, Black History Month is in October. And I think for yeah, I thought so. So this month for the UK is Pride Month. Our Black History Month is in October. And I know Black History Month is February for you guys in the US. And Pride is June, I think. Upasin, what is Black History Month? It's time that people try and dedicate to highlighting and emphasizing the impact that black people and people of like Afro-Caribbean heritage have had on the country, whether intentional or not. So it's kind of things also like recognizing the impact that slavery had on people from Africa and their descendants, and also highlighting actions and efforts that prominent black citizens have done in the country. So a dedicated month making sure that those people and those aspects of a country's history are not just swept away and ignored under the more populous history. Jazzy, that's a perfect description, thank you. Yeah. Yes, it is very much to make sure that we do remember that history is not just written by the rulers and the winners of history, but that everything that happens does have an effect on the people and the average people who are living, who have lived and live those lives. Okay, so we are getting a petition here that the Isle of Man should belong to our brother. So we could say, so we have other pressing matters and we will lose 10 opinion. Well, he hates us anyway, so, and then, or we can say within the year, I shall act on your behalf. So how strong are you compared to us? They are superior. So I think I will be... Yes, I will say I have other pressing matters. He dislikes us by -10, but he's already at -100 with us anyway. So... Okay, so our wife has given us another daughter, who again has the pretty trait, which I'm not going to complain about. It is just, we are going to have just an absolute ton of girls here, aren't we? We are just going to have an absolute ton of girls. And I will just say this before anything gets a bit too rowdy in chat, that people do not have the same experience and lifestyle in other parts of the world, so people may not be aware of such things as Black History Month, so please remember to just be kind to each other. Everything is a learning opportunity, so uplift each other, don't tear each other down. Just putting that out there. So that is, I think that was daughter number 6. Yes, indeed. Okay. So we have an alliance set up there. Pass in. Thank you for the explanations. It's no problem. You don't have such things where you are. Are these months official or people do arrange them on their own? Okay, I cannot say for certain. This, it may and slash probably started off as something that people created on their own to recognize the history and efforts of people. But yes, in America and in the UK, both Black History Month and Pride Month are officially recognized. Six-Eared Sage, you have no clue where else either. Yeah, so I think it's probably a safe bet that a lot of like Western Europe and Northern America has official or at least semi-official like Black History Month and Pride Month. Other places in the world probably varies depending on the local culture and attitudes there. So yes, we can get some people, or I'll start that again. So yes, we may get some countries that allow it just by people kind of doing it on their own but don't make it official in any sense, and other countries that really do tend or try to push it to the forefront and make people aware of it. Okay, so the County of Pitton. So someone... Oh. In the Euro part of Bavaria. Okay, we won't worry about that. Yes, that is another good point as well. Six-eared sage is that some countries and cultures historically didn't have as much cultural merging with others, so they may not have as much exposure. I think exposure would be the right term to these cultural aspects. In Asia, it's the same as well. Yes, I can imagine that. Because, like I mentioned earlier, slavery and all those aspects. So we have, obviously in the UK and in the Americas, a large population of black people whose ancestors were brought here as slaves, and naturally they had no choice whether they wanted to be part of our culture or not. So we are trying to recognise that in some small manner at least. So yeah. Oh, our kitty's doing good work killing all the rats. That is nice to see. Oh, we gain rat free for 5 years, which gives us a huge... Oh my goodness, wow, okay. Which gives us a huge health boost. Which I obviously presume is just a reflection of the fact that we don't have as many rats, mice and other kind of disease-carrying vermin around us. That is very sweet to see. Very, very sweet. Oh, and we do actually have a military perk to take as well. Let's go for engineered for destruction, especially seeing as we are going to be quite a, or potentially quite a naval focused kingdom. Okay, so you apparently can marry, but he is in prison, so we can't actually send it through to be accepted. So that is slightly annoying. So we'll break the betrothal on that one. And honestly, with this one, I'm just hoping, against all hope, that the lisp doesn't get passed down. Because it is unfortunately a negative genetic trait, and it does reduce diplomacy by -2. So it's not necessarily a good trait for any potential rulers to have. And I know she's the 4th daughter out of 6. So the odds of her actually ruling anything are pretty slim. But there is also the option that, well, that potentially one of her descendants we could try marrying back into like the main branch of the family, and if that trait's been carried down, then it can be an issue. Six-eared sage is a good trait if everyone is also lisping, yes. That is one of the benefits to some of these traits, is that you have a positive opinion with other characters who have the same trait. Whether that's something akin to camaraderie, or whether it is kind of more, yeah, you experience, or you have this, you experience this. Or if it is like that they genuinely feel a kinship. Repulsin, don't know a lot about people from Africa in Russian history, except great-grandfather of Pushkin, probably just a lack of knowledge. Yeah, I mean, my knowledge of history outside of Crusader Kings is pretty much limited to what I learned in school, and that was very much Germany between the 2 world wars, apartheid in South Africa, because there was actually quite a lot of interaction in that along with Germany, and a bit of local history, and a lot about the Tudors. A lot about the Tudors. Six-eared sage, more about just interaction, more likely to interact with the majority culture where you live, especially if you're part of the majority culture yourself. Yeah, like I am. I mean, I commented this in the previous stream, but I am pretty much about as white bread English as you could probably get. So yes, my interactions have been mostly with other majority British people. So anyway, a Catholic family. Let's just have a look at this event. I look around the dinner table trying to start conversation, yet find only embarrassed glances and heads turning away. My own family has been turned against me by that vile knave Archbishop Gouet. He has taken up a habit of whispering lies in my relatives' ears wherever they go to him for spiritual guidance, claiming I am a wicked king and that God cursed our house. Well, I mean, you did kill 2 family members, so I'm not honestly surprised. So we could say I too have a few things to say. 5% chance that we convince our relatives that Gouet is lying. Public show of contrition. So we would gain 50 piety but spend 150 prestige. Or I will not let an archbishop undermine me. 18 dread. Spend 100 piety and gain scorned clergy. Well, our piety is already pretty low, so... 6-Eared Sage. I'll be honest, I have little interest in the Crusader Kings era or medieval. Then again, I'm Asian and waiting for the complete overhaul mods. Yeah, I can understand that. Especially when Crusader Kings 2 was first released. It was a very, very heavy Western Catholic Europe focus. But the potential that it has and the fact that it is so moddable means that there's quite a lot of opportunities for people, even if they aren't interested in this kind of era and games. So yeah, I know there's a fair few complete overhaul mods. There's obviously, naturally, one based on Game of Thrones. I know there's, or at least for Crusader Kings 2, there was a Elder Scrolls one and a Lord of the Rings one. There was one where they basically took the game and moved it back a few centuries, so it kind of started around the 6th century with the fall of the final fall of the Roman Empire. Then there was also a conversion mod called After the End, which takes place in a post-apocalyptic United States. So is there any complete overhaul mod that you are particularly looking forward to, 6-Eared Sage? And Jazzy, I love history in general, so interesting to learn custom cultures and how things came about. Yes, it can be quite fascinating to see how, especially seeing where you have like tiny little changes having such a major impact decades or even centuries down the line. So we have a granddaughter who's got robust. So that is from... Yep, so we can see here the parents both had the level 1 hail trait and the daughter has actually got level 2. 6-Eared Sage, any types in general as long as it's mosh pit, but mainly interested in more fantasy overhauls. You're going to have to just explain what you mean by mosh pits there, because I'm not sure I get the context on that. But more fantasy overhauls, so you would be more interested in like a Lord of the Rings-esque high fantasy mod, or even one that is just... I'm not going to say generic fantasy, because generic fantasy to me always brings up like the Western ideas of sword and sorcery, and in Asia I know you have different ideas of mythology and such. Okay, mosh pit, yeah, lots of factions that are interesting in a small zone. Yeah, I can understand that. So let's go and see if we can quickly find a potential spouse for this person who is not related to her in any way. Let's go for that one. Seeing that is one of like the few people that she is not related to. So this is one of the issues with trying to get the good genetic traits in Crusader Kings 3, is that you tend to end up with people kind of marrying relatives and unfortunately getting or risking a bit of inbreeding. Okay, all is fair. Many treatises have been written on honourable conduct in war, but those authors' lives went on the line when they put pen to paper. I know from experience the best way to defeat my enemies is to ensure we only engage in battle on my terms. The question is, what terms will be the most advantageous? So I'll trick my enemies into overextending. So this is an intrigue challenge. 78% successful, 22% not. Hit and run tactics, so this is a guaranteed thing, and we will gain this for 5 years. So minus 25% on retreat losses and minus 25% on friendly fatal casualties. And what does this one? Okay, enemy fatal casualties plus 25 and defender advantage. I think I will try for this one. And let's just wait and see, because this is an event that takes a second. Yep, there we go. I await the day I can use this in real battle, so hopefully we will be able to see this in, well, basically within 5 years before it expires. So, passing, the only period of British history I know a little about is the time of Edward II and Edward III Plantagenet, thanks to Sir Conan Doyle. Really big fan of his historical novels in your childhood and learned some stuff about that time. Yeah, I admit I've learned a lot more about British history in general from playing Crusader Kings 2 and Crusader Kings 3 than I really got during my education. The Plantagenets, I don't admittedly know too much about. My knowledge is kind of more, like I said, we learned a lot about the Tudors in my school, though I still can never remember which of the Catherines was which. Oh, goodness. I can still never remember which of the Catherines was which. So I've got moderate familiarity with them, some familiarity with the Stuarts, who were the royal house that came after the Tudors, and then most everything else has either been through Crusader Kings or the Horrible Histories TV show. We lost that war, which we don't care about because that was somewhere in Bavaria. So can we request a claim? Will you accept it or not? And on this one, minus 59. So, no. Innovation. So there was one of these. Let me just pause for a moment. That actually allowed us to not public works. Was that it? No, that's development. Currency. I swear there is one of these. Ah, there we go. Casus Belli can use individual de jure county Casus Belli. So what are we currently? So our fascination at the moment is Gavelkind, and we are getting exposure from onagers. So let's actually switch that over to Casus Belli. That's going to take 51 years, rather unfortunately. Okay, so this is saying that he's basically fabricated some documents saying that we have a right to the earldom of Devon. All that's missing is one little bribe. So we could pay 90 gold, and this will give us an unpressed claim on the earldom of Devon. However, just the earldom is not what I'm looking for. We are looking for the duchy. So we will say, no, I cannot. So lose or fabricate claim progress, and then this will just start again. So we will honestly just keep waiting for a claim for the duchy, because that means we'll be able to take both Devon and Cornwall in one swoop. Add it as a duchy under our kingdom level title. Jazzy, I would love to travel just to visit different castles. Well, let me just say that you would be in major luck in the United Kingdom, because we have castles basically everywhere. Including some that are actually still habitable, and some that are still lived in, because of course obviously the royal family. Yeah, so yeah, we have, well, I obviously can't say this about many other European countries because I've not got too much experience with them, but in England there are some places where you could just walk around and there will just be like an old kind of ruins, like a temple or a bit of a castle just kind of lying around, and it's been yeah, it's been there for a good number of centuries, and it's become just a cultural centre point just because of the fact. Jazzy, your husband has been to London. I want to visit. Well, I hope that you're able to visit soon and cross off a couple of things on your wish list. Yeah, so you can feel free to talk about your husband's trip to London if you want to. It'll be interesting to know what places he went and visited just in general. And on top, yeah, you also want to travel around just to visit different castles. Oh, apparently I had this app paused for absolutely forever. I tend to have a habit of either keeping it paused accidentally or letting it run on. But that is a bit of an issue where, yeah. Because sometimes Crusader Kings 3 can be a lot of downtime in between events. You don't actually realise that that's happened. Jazzy, he went to Piccadilly. Okay, so he was very much in central London. Okay, so one of our Earls is apparently keeping secrets from us. So he will reveal the secret, or we can say, we will not pardon you. So I think we honestly just have a familial one against him. So we'll just say that. And, ooh, attempted murder. Okay. That is a juicy one to know. So Jazzy, like, yeah, they stayed in the city. Loves all the food there. So are you meaning the stereotypical British food? Or are you meaning like all the different cultural food options that we have available in such a major metropolitan city? Passing, your girlfriend wants to visit London very much. Hope you'll be able to give her such an opportunity. Yes, so like with Jazzy, I very much hope that you're able to do that soon. Because at the very least, with travel restrictions hopefully lifting and enabling us to go and visit other places, I hope you'll be able to get the funds together and have an enjoyable trip over to London. Aww. So apparently one of our vassals has got distracted by cat. As I walk outside, I'm greeted by the sight of my vassal crouching beside my cat, tenderly petting her head. So the Duke now gains 20 opinion of us just because he likes our cat. That is very sweet. Jazzy, we plan to visit Thailand next year. Oh, that should be fun. That sounds like it will be excellent, excellent fun. And yeah, playing Crusader Kings together could be an interesting one. Crusader Kings 2, admittedly it is the previous version of the game, but that is free to play on Steam. And as with all Paradox games, you only actually need the person who's hosting the multiplayer game to own the DLC for everyone to actually be able to use it. So the base game of Crusader Kings 2 is free. There is an expansion pass which is, I think it's about like £4 a month. So you could do that, pay for £4 or the equivalent of where you are, and have a fun time playing in Crusader Kings 2 if you so wanted. Okay, and apparently our Archbishop says that our marriage to our wife is consanguineous in nature. So consanguineous is basically saying that our marriage is not necessarily illegal, but we are too closely related for this to be an appropriate marriage. 6-Eared Sage, CK2 is not good for casual experience compared to CK3. Yes, I will definitely agree with that. I was putting the suggestion of CK2 out there because it is, like I said, free to play. So it is not as much of an investment to have a go and play it as Crusader Kings 3 is. Actually, no, actually forget that. Crusader Kings 3 is on the Xbox Game Pass, isn't it? Yes. So I have no idea how that works for multiplayer, but yes, Xbox Game Pass is another affordable option, and especially because it also gives you access to a ton of other games as well. I am quite a fan of that, and I was actually playing Crusader Kings 3 on Game Pass before I bought it for Steam on my own account. So anyway, we can say that, of course, we will divorce. We can say our marriage will not be torn apart by such an obvious lie. And we have 100%. I prove the game is fake. To lie about such things, I will set him straight. So 79% chance to successfully argue about it. If we fail at 20%, we will gain the trait incestuous. Or we can say, surely this can all be forgiven with a weak hook. So I will go for the top option, which is obviously a 100% chance of success. Prove the claim is fake. So our Archbishop spent 350 prestige for that. 6-Eared Sage, never ever get Game Pass. I only play like 3 games. Yeah, if you are someone that plays a small specific subset of games, then yeah, Game Pass isn't that great, but I do like it because it allows me to check out some, like, especially like the smaller indie games before I consider if I actually want to purchase them for myself. So we have ourselves another granddaughter, and this is... No, yes, actually yes, from the same daughter that gave us the grandchild with robust. She has had a second daughter, also with the robust trait. So, unfortunately, yeah, so we're getting to the point of all of these marriages and things coming in where people are starting to, like, the only ones that are of an appropriate age are related to us. However, so invite to court -70. Okay, so that wouldn't really work. We could get him betrothed, but he is a lunatic, so that does give a minor penalty to health. So odds are he might not make it to our court if we were to do that. Everyone else is related, so let's just clear all of that and see if we can get anyone that is of, like, an appropriate alliance. Anyone? Not really. Okay, so we may just wait and see if someone appropriate gets born into the game. New martial lifestyle perk. So let's go for organised march. We will have to get all of these before we can go down here and get those anyway. So this is kind of more of a, which one do you want to go for first? Than being able to really pick and choose what's going on. So how is Mercia doing? So their military strength is inferior to ours. Unfortunately, we can't declare war. And you've also tried to murder a few people. Okay, not your father. Your father died of old age. So exactly who? Ooh. Okay, fingers crossed, people. We have a son. We have one son. Does he have a good genetic trait? Yes. Yes, he does. Okay, how old is our wife? 43 years old. So she could potentially have another child. And that could cause a little bit of a ruckus. Cause a tiny, tiny bit of a ruckus. On top, yeah, no problem with that. making some food for the love of your life. Oh, that's sweet. Several European cruises. You've never left the US before. Too anxious to travel alone. Something structured like a cruise with an itinerary sounds like my kind of travel. Yeah. Yeah, I can understand that. For me, obviously I'm like lucky enough to be living in England, part of Europe. So hopping on a plane and being in a new country in a couple of hours is very much a privilege that I had, especially with parents, where we could actually take an international holiday every year, more or less. So yeah, I have flown a fair number of times, I will just say. So someone is plotting to kill my wife. Oh no, my wife, who has just given me a singular son, who is still young enough to potentially give me another child. Someone is plotting to murder her. Whatever shall we do about that? So yeah, indeed. Odd top. Yeah, we did spend obviously quite a few holidays in Spain because that is just the stereotypical English person going on vacation thing. That is just the stereotypical. I wouldn't really know what the equivalent in the US would really be. Yeah, you've never been on a cruise, always wanted to. Ooh, okay, one of our counsellors just died. Was that our spy master? Indeed it was. So is anyone genuinely good? Is anyone genuinely good that actually likes us? Not really. So we could reassign our brother from being Marshal. Unfortunately, he is the best one. 11. Okay, yes, let's reassign our Marshal. And then that gives us one more vassal who we can placate to some degree. So we have 21 months left on this. And who else? Oh my goodness. Okay, no, Wessex doesn't have any allies. They have just honestly been building up their levies to a ridiculous amount. No wonder he's also intelligent, which gives him +3 to all stats. His intrigue is absolutely terrible. Oh, sorry. Ugh. Yeah, I tend to get hiccups when I've been talking for a bit too long. So unfortunately my streams sometimes get interrupted by a hiccup or two. And of course, speaking of that, taking a drink is probably going to help. And also what is probably going to help is me taking my meds. So I think I'm probably going to have to start making this a habit on stream. So remember to stay hydrated. And if you take medication, have you taken your medication today? I'm probably going to have to make that a thing because, oh my goodness, I do not remember. I do not remember until it's, like, not too late, but an inappropriate time. Oh, goodness. Yeah, if I remember to take them and I just nudge people on chat, hopefully it will ensure that we at least try and stay on track with things. Okay. So, Lodwen, the gift giver. 2 yellow eyes follow me as I cross the hallway, and a small meow breaks the silence as Bloodwen pounces for my ankle. She may be young, but she is nonetheless ferocious. As she prances away, I see that she has left me a gleaming gift where she had been hiding. So I'm presuming that this is a genuine gift and not a euphemism for something. On top. LOL. Yeah, that's why I put a timer for my chatbot to remind me to drink water. That's actually a good idea. That is actually a good idea, and it also means that people who are watching your stream also get reminded to stay properly hydrated. Oh, look at that. Oh. Oh, little kitty fluff found us 2 gold. Oh. So yeah, I think most of these events can also happen with a pet dog that you can get. I know there are options to obviously pet your dog on a regular basis. Some of your vassals can be charmed by your dog. Sometimes when you can invite your dog into a council meeting, or you can tell them to stay outside, and when that happens, sometimes the dog kind of goes and causes a little bit of chaos. But yes. Aww. Oh, sweet little baby kitty fluff. When can we pet you again? In about a year. Okay, in about a year. Oh, this is nice. So we have the potential to get a military trait here. So a war is determined by battles, but battles are determined by their preparations. Being caught without plan or direction is a good way to lose. So we can say my armies must always be well supplied, in which case we gain logistician, which gives us plus 100% supply duration, which is brilliant if you plan on moving through pagan lands, because their supply limit there tends to be absolutely horrendous. Or no castle will hinder my efforts for long, so we gain military engineer, which means siege phase time is minus 30%, and attrition taken in hills is minus 25%. So given that we are in Wales, there are a lot of castles around, there are a fair amount of hills, so we will say no castle will hinder my efforts for long. And this is one thing that I'm not fond of with the Crusader Kings 3 UI, is that when you actually get too many so like commander traits, lifestyle traits and such, it tends to very much just completely squeeze them down. Like, I know a scroll bar wouldn't really look appropriate here, but I feel like there should be a better way to kind of manage those icons there. Of course, I have noticed also that we actually have some little kitty icons here. Oh yes, be very prepared for me to just squee over any and all events relating to cats. So we have an event here. Poor manners. Oh dear. As a loud belch echoes through the dining hall, all conversation abruptly ceases. My Archbishop Gouret pats his stomach and grins. Ah, better out than in, my dad always said. So yeah, there are a couple of Shrek references in this game. This is actually the second one that we've encountered. The first one we encountered in Tuesday's stream, where we were going through and we found a smelly peasant living in marshland, and he kind of stopped around and went, "What are you doing in my marsh?" I always find that quite amusing when you see these little notes and Easter eggs. And Stellaris is another game that has an absolute ton of them as well. As I think there's like a Douglas Adams reference, probably a 2001 A Space Odyssey. There's probably some Mass Effect. Yes, there is a Mass Effect reference. So if people know that event in Mass Effect 2 where the Chief is talking to a couple of people about the Sir Isaac Newton is the deadliest SOB in space. It's actually an event in Stellaris where a ship can actually get hit by a glancing blow that you find out was fired like 10 million years ago from like the other corner of the galaxy. It's just, yeah, I love that there's little Easter eggs in that. So anyway, various courtiers exchange incredulous glances before my wife looks directly at me and exclaims, "My king, that was wholly inappropriate. Certainly you must agree." So Gouret is a man of God, let us treat him as such. So we spend 14 court grandeur, but we gain 50 piety, and Goret gains 20 opinion of us. Archbishop or not, Goret will learn proper manners, so we gain 18 dread. Goret loses 30 opinion of us, but every other courtier gains 10 opinion. Or we can say, come on now, like we all haven't had to let one loose before. So we spend 14 court grandeur again, we lose 20 stress, grow closer to forming a relationship with Goret. He gains 20 opinion of us, but our queen loses 20 opinion. So once again, we will go for the dread options, and we have the option to hold court once again. So let's let people in and see what they have to say. So I know we had some comments on Tuesday's stream kind of saying that there was disappointment about there being a free camera. I actually looked after the stream and there is already a mod. Like there was already a mod on the workshop. I'll just turn this down a bit because that's being a bit overzealous again for my efforts. So yeah, there's already mods on the Crusader Kings 3 Steam workshop for a free camera for your courtroom. There's options to have a court if you're Count, Duke or Tribal and everything. So I'll just honestly have to wait and see if Paradox does anything like that in an update. So a provincial merchant steps forward, clearly out of his element. So our mayor is a barrier to commerce and the town's interests. We humbly ask he will be replaced by someone else. So this is the person that has come to petition us. And this is the mayor that they are complaining about. Honestly, he is infirm, so kind of if you're willing to wait a few years, he's probably going to die of natural causes anyway. And I know that's really bad to say, but honestly, yeah. So we can say the election for the land will come early. So this mayor is deposed, loses opinion, closer to forming a rivalry. Development progress will increase, but we do gain civic meddling. So Republican vassal tax contribution minus 10%. We can say very well, you shall be the new mayor. Okay, I'm presuming these two are meant to be named slightly differently, because the way it initially looked like they were the same one, just one was in green and one was in red. So there's a 36% chance that this person is actually a good mayor, or a 63% chance that they are bad. We can hear what the mayor has to say. So the mayor, 40% chance pays 50 gold to us and loses 15 opinion. 60% chance development decreases. We can say the crown will compensate them, so we will lose 50 gold. But the mayor will gain 10 opinion of us, and the earldom will gain merchants compensated. Or we could say, you dare question the king's mayor, and we imprison the petitioner. Yeah, so let's just do the coin flip on this one. What does the mayor have to say for himself? His wrongdoing is not proven, so unfortunately development has been stifled there a little bit. Oh, okay, and we've got this event again with Obeko again. So our court position has been digging up dead bodies in one of the towns and performing experiments on them. So we had this event with our previous character, this person's father. So we can say studying the human body is a sad necessity. We can complain that our court physician didn't invite us. Because we have the... what trait is that? The callous trait. We can say that fresh and living bodies make for better test subjects. So we imprison the person who is here petitioning us. We gain 54 dread, 50 intrigue and 50 learning lifestyle experience. Unfortunately, this option is a little bit bugged. Either there is no percentage chance of something happening, or it's just not showing up in the tooltip. But Orbeco, 50 intrigue and 50 learning, 25% chance of maybe something. We can say to arrest the grave robber, but we will gain 88 stress because we're callous and vengeful. Or we can tell our court position to just cut it off. As in, like, stop doing it, not cut someone's body part off. And on top, for science. Yeah, this is actually quite interesting because for the longest time, at least in the West, obviously, what's the word? What is the word? Dissection on human bodies was, like, not just forbidden, it was, like, against the church. So we had a lot of experiments done on animals, and because of that we had a lot of misunderstandings. So people who genuinely wanted to know how the human body worked would actually genuinely go grave robbing. So yeah, we'll just tell him to stop that. And this is a marshal approaching with a young man saying that, well, we've got this person who should be a good knight, so we can give him the opportunity. So 14 prowess and holy warrior. Now that is a nice trait to have in general, but as where we are in Wales, we are probably honestly not going to be fighting too many I take that back. We have a lot of Vikings that are taking land in northern England and Ireland. That could actually genuinely be useful. So we could say very well. We could say this is my bodyguard. Or we could say, is he skilled? Yes. Is he needed? No. No, we will say you will be a knight. And there we go. We have finished holding court. We can hold that again in 5 years' time. A few decisions and such made, but nothing that has been kind of explicitly not necessary, but not really two major events. So can we get an antiquarian in? Yes, one of our daughters. So I will just quickly do that. Court tutor. So I did say we had someone. I thought we had someone with... Apparently not. They just have an average aptitude. High Almoner, Seneschal. Bodyguard. Here we go. Yes, we can appoint a couple of knights. Or a couple of bodyguards from our knights, I should say. So they're not overly fond of us. So this does mean that potentially if someone wanted to, say, plot to slip poison wine into our cup at our next feast, if they managed to bribe these people, then they would potentially look the other way, especially if they managed to get our cupbearer as well, which is always an interesting thing to do. Oh, okay, we've got a couple of cool events, so let's just have a look. Someone complaining, why would you honour that knave with a position and not me? So this is you. Okay, so we could say, like, yeah, basically, I'm the king, come on, stop complaining. So he could be our seneschal. He only has 7 stewardship, so I'm not going to do that. Or we could say, if you're going to jest like this, I should start paying you. Which, honestly, yeah, let's actually do that. So he is now our court jester. Yeah, our court jester. So yeah, monthly court grandeur change, court grandeur bonus, and possibility for stress relieving events. And honestly, seeing the traits that our character has, I think he is the kind of person to kind of say, like, okay, yeah, you're making me laugh so much, I might as well just give you the position. So this is one of the other things that I saw in my test game, is that we have people come into the court who have inspirations, and if we want, we can sponsor them. So this will take 72 gold for us, but we will get a shield, which hopefully will give us some additional defense in battle. And we can see here it's going to take 15 months. And if it goes the way the event that I saw in my test run goes, we may see a few pop-ups for additional options on that one. So I'm just keeping an eye on the time because apparently I need to clean out my hard disk because I'm slightly running out of space. Yeah, so despite the fact that I'm broadcasting this in 960p resolution, just as a middle ground between 720 and 1080 for people, this actually does get recorded to my computer at 1440p, and yeah, videos can take up a decent amount of space. So our wife is pregnant yet again. Let's keep our fingers crossed for a daughter for once. And we actually have this person join our cult. So she has the herbalist trait, which gives her a bump to intrigue and learning. Because of course, herbs that heal, herbs that harm, and also 19 learning. Let's actually see. We do not have 105 gold to give to her. Can we actually... okay, yes, we would need to recruit her to court before we could actually make her our physician. And we don't have the money for that at all. So yes, yes, yes. We know all of that pretty much. And yeah, I know, once again, I'm saying about obviously Crusader Kings 2, but one of the options was that you could actually put someone in the court jester position and they would get negative opinion of you. Okay, so here we go. Inspiration, considered opinion. My armorer updates me on her progress. So forging may not be my personal forte, but it doesn't mean I can't have a say in how my money is spent. Hey, welcome back, Jazzy. Yeah, nothing really important happened, so no worries. So we can say we've got a few suggestions. So we gain 22 stress, 59% ideas work well, 11% ideas are poor, 29% we're ignored. That is an intrigue challenge, so 50% work well, 12% ideas are poor, 37% ignored. Oh, oof. Okay, we could do... okay, this option is available because of our prowess. So our prowess is 9, and that only gives us a 12% chance of ideas working well. Or we can say that she knows what she's doing, so we won't have an opportunity to potentially improve the shield that she's making, but we also won't risk messing it up. So we can see here, the artifact will be of a higher quality, 59% chance, or 11% chance will be of a lower quality. So I think we will go for the top option because that has the best chance. Yep, there we go, your ideas work well. So some of these options also require you to fund a little bit of extra money. And there we go. So inspiration, fellow connoisseur. They say she is making a shield worthy of a king. Take this and give it to her. I wouldn't want to miss the chance to aid in the creation of a masterpiece. So, oh, okay, no, it is technically him. So he pays her 15 gold and will be of a slightly higher quality. Or does that say might be? We can say, oh, I'm sure she'll get it, and we can pocket it ourselves. Or we can tell him to keep the money, in which case he gains 10 opinion of us, but she will lose 5 opinion, because obviously we've just rejected an opportunity for her to potentially get like slightly better materials or have slightly better resources. And yes, he does look a bit shifty. I mean, honestly, his traits aren't that bad. I mean, his diplomacy is absolutely atrocious, as is his learning. His stewardship is barely capable. Like you can see there, it just has an average. Martial and intrigue are poor. So obviously all of these traits have an impact on a person's stats. I would say about 60% of them I can remember from the traits, from the pictures. So we have zealous, gregarious, and stubborn, I believe. Yep, zealous, gregarious, and stubborn. Despite having a 4-star top tier stewardship education, his basically almost all of his stewardship points are coming from there. He is a pilgrim, so he's gone on a visit to a holy site, and he's also infirm, which means that, yeah, he's got -3. Okay, that might explain some of it. So infirm and got -3 to all stats, so that might explain a little bit. But yeah, his personality is fine, so we will just say how generous, because despite everything, you know, we're not greedy, we're ambitious. So you could argue that we could be persuaded to pocket the money, but for our character, I think actually having the potential for a slightly better shield is going to be more intriguing and important to him than having a tiny bit of extra money. So yes, we will say how generous. And let's just check, how are you all doing? Absolutely fine. Okay. You do have stewardship focus. You don't actually have a trait yet. So we need another stewardship, and you are already on a learning education. That is good. I don't know why I'm looking at that. You're not even our daughter, so why do I care? And we have we have another robust granddaughter. So once again, let's actually see if anyone has come around of a different trait. Yes, there are actually. It looks like these two are from the same household. So we will betroth you two. And we will... Okay, apparently the other one's just disappeared. Oh wait, no, I know why, because obviously we're sending the betrothal request over, so we won't be able to send one until he accepts, which he should. Jazzy, you love the map. Yes, that is one thing that I adore about the Paradox games, is that the maps are always so lovely. Oh no. Oh dear. Okay, so one of our vassals loves the cat. The other one, not so much. So my steward approaches me, rage in his eyes and cat in his hand, held by the scruff of its neck. As he thrusts the cat in my face, I see that it's my dear Blodwen. I found this little monster among my things. What wasn't scratched to bits was covered in cat pee. So I'll compensate you. Unfortunately, we do not have 50 gold. Or we could say she's just a cat and he loses 20 opinion of us. Unfortunately, that's the only option we can go for. So, you know, she's just a cat. And speaking of that, very nice and coincidentally, we can pet our cat. So our wife has had a second son. He has no genetic traits, and we do actually have enough renown that we can say straight away that we can... Here we go. So we could, if we wanted to, disinherit him. Okay, we actually need a lot more prestige than we have. So we can, if we have enough prestige and renown, we can actually denounce certain members of our family, and this will cut them out of our, or out of the line of inheritance. So at the moment, because we have 2 sons, the counties that we have are going to be split between them. But if we were to disinherit our second son, then our first son would get everything, which is one method around, well, another method around the realm splitting. Odd top, he probably deserved it. Yeah, maybe. I mean, everyone on our council absolutely bloody hates us. Yeah, -74. So, not got over the short vein thing yet. Jeez. Aye. So yeah, and there we go. We pet our cat and we lose 10 stress. We have a little purry ball of fluff sitting in our lap. Hey, is there anyone I can marry you to that is not related to us? Yes, there is a 6-year-old here with the same trait. We'll do that. Okay, we cannot apparently marry you or sort out any kind of betrothals with you because you are not in our court. You have not had any children and you are already betrothed. So we need to find you a good spouse. So, I mean, we could betroth him to our granddaughter. And I think I'll wait just in case we have someone who we've sent a request to. So here we go. Yep. Bending the knee to us. Oh. Well, there we go. There is the absolutely epic music. So our shield has been made. And fingers crossed, that is a good sign. And you know what? I'm going to risk it. I am going to risk this because yes, there is a chance that they will get the inbred trait, but there is also the chance that they could get a trait known or called pure-blooded, which actually reduces the risk of bad inheritable traits being passed through. So there we go. My lord, my beneficiary waves me over to a covered armour stand. She's trying hard to keep a professional demeanour, but I can see the fire in her eyes as she tells me her work is done. So we have a wooden shield of excellent craftsmanship, constructed from sturdy oak planks and bound together with a rim of wrought iron. The edge is inlaid with deer antler and painted with images of mythological beasts. So here we go. This is our first royal artifact. So it gives us plus 0.08 renown, and a month, and plus 2 court grandeur. So it will last for 90 years without needing any maintenance, or rather, if we don't maintain it, it will be gone within 90 years. And this is automatically inherited along with the Kingdom of Wales. So the description on that is the same as this last paragraph. There we go. Magnificent. So now is this one that, yep, it is one that is actually displayed in our court. So here we go. We have court artifacts. And let's, yeah, I think well, presuming we get some kind of sword or weapon that we can put up as an ornamental item, I think I will want to put that there. So instead we will put the shield up there. So there we go. That is very, very nice to see. And we can see here all of our court artifacts as well. So we have a house banner, a dynasty banner, and now a shield. So we do not have any claims to any artifacts. Basically, nothing has been stolen from us, and we haven't been powerful enough to go to anyone and say, "Oi, you, that belongs to me, hand it over." Which is a thing. So while we're also looking at that, how are you doing? So military strength is similar to ours. What is losing us money? So expects us to court positions. So if we were to actually relieve someone of their duties, so like, yeah, if we actually get rid of our bodyguards, that will give us 0.7. There we go. We're back earning money again. Because unfortunately, we are not Vikings. Okay, that is just the earldom again. Unfortunately, we are not Vikings. We do not have the cultural trait for Vikings. And so we cannot go and raid neighbouring areas for money, unfortunately. So I will say I am expecting this to get a little bit of a nerf. So we've just had someone create a first hybrid culture. So this has been formed from the Norse culture and Pictish, which is more... Pictish is more or less kind of old Scottish. So we've got this one here. So we can have a look at that. 1 second. Okay, so Norse here. So they have gotten rid of the Ting meat, which means they've basically gotten rid of the Scandinavian elective succession law. And they've also gotten rid of malleable invaders. They've kept coastal warriors, performative honour and northern stories from Norse. They've also kept it as... They've kept the language as Norse. As also bellicals as their main addition. So from Pictish, they picked up, yep, Highland warriors and hill dwellers, which is kind of to be expected. Brythonic heritage, okay, so they were both bellical, so that explains that. And Picto-Norse aesthetics, so naming practices from both, Norse architecture, all the fashions, both types of coat of arms and military equipment to continental Europe. So that will be interesting. But yes, I was having, or rather I was seeing an absolute ton of hybrid cultures popping in left, right and centre in my other game. So curious children do well with the diplomacy education, so we will say that. Oh, oh. So, Blodwen, purring comfort. After yet another stressful day, I slumped down on a chair in my chamber. For how long will I be able to keep this up? Suddenly I hear a quiet meow, and my cat Blodwen jumps up on my lap and starts purring. I sit with her for a while, just listening to the calming sound and petting her white fur. So, this is just a random event, and because of that we actually lose 20 stress instead of the 10 when we can actually do the decision to pet her. So our brother was taken captive in a war and has now been released, so unfortunately he is going to be annoyed about that, potentially. Let me just have a look. So annoyed because he wants a seat on the council, but is not actually annoyed because he was fired, because technically he wasn't. He was captured and couldn't do his duties. So yeah, we will just put him right back. And yes, Blodwen, best cat. Blodwen. I'm just making sure my own cat isn't in the room. Okay, Blodwen is best Crusader Kings 3 cat. I'll say that. Blodwen is best Crusader Kings 3 cat. Yeah. Yeah, I cannot say Blodwen is best cat when I've got my own little cat running around. So we do have minus 170 prestige. We are gaining a decent amount, but unfortunately this is going to be impacting us pretty severely. So we can declare war on you. Oh, actually that's only going to cost us 31. So claim titles are base of 100. Child defender reduces that by 50. It's a lower tier, so that reduces it by an eighth of the standard, or a quarter of the reduced amount. And then Bellum Justum, which reduces it by 50% again. So we could declare war. So we'd lose a level of fame, but honestly, that's probably not too important. And so my daughter, or our daughter, has had a son. So this is the one that was kind of, yeah, wasn't really anything major to begin with. We can get you betrothed to someone here who's intelligent. Let me actually just look at our other son. No, I didn't get you betrothed to anyone. So send proposal to you, and you will find someone else for, like, say, okay, of Wessex, but there's not going to be any kind of alliance there, so that is fine. Pass in, probably go to sleep, almost midnight for me. Thanks for the stream and the company, take care of yourself. Yeah, thank you for popping in and chatting through passing. I hope you're able to feel better soon. And yeah, unfortunately, just because of the time zone difference, it's pretty much 9 PM your time when I start streaming here. But thankfully the Saturday streams are earlier for you. But yeah, have a good night, and I will hopefully see you around in the Discord and back on the stream again on Saturday. So we could declare war, indeed, and that would give us a new bit of territory, but that would also potentially get a little bit messed up on inheritance. Are you independent? You are indeed. So offer vassalage, he would not accept minus 128. So realm is distant, and also cultural acceptance because he is Cumbrian. So this is of the same heritage as ours. So the languages are still kind of the same. Okay, so one daughter is producing sons that have middling to no genetic traits, and another daughter is just continually popping out daughters that are all robust. This is certainly interesting. This is certainly interesting, to say the least. So anyway, yes, may you grow strong and wise. And of course I have actually realised as well, so the daughter that, or the grandchild that we got betrothed to our son, she is actually from our first wife. So they are, okay, they are uncle and niece, which is fairly genetically similar, but they are half uncle and half niece, which pushes things back a little bit in the gene pool. And Jazzy, yeah, yes, a bit unfortunate, but the thing is, she has the robust trait and he has the handsome trait. So if I could get those two traits down into another generation, that would be great, because then I can just start trying to add in the intelligent trait and work towards it's not consecrating the bloodline, is it? Because there's one of the, no, consecrate is the faith one, strengthen is the trait one. So we can see here you have a trait from the bright minds, from the beautiful characters and the physical specimens, and one of them must be tier 3, and you have 0 bad congenital traits. So this will give the dynasty strong blood, so a small boost to health, 40% chance of inheriting good congenital traits, and 400% chance of getting new ones in. Okay, someone is plotting to kill a random son-in-law. Oh, okay, you... our daughter who has a lisp. It's her husband. Jazzy, I wish I knew all of my family ancestry. Yes, I kind of would like to know mine as well. I only kind of know bits and pieces, and like one of the things that I know is honestly only because my last name is an Irish name. So I know like kind of like my father's father, whatever, however long back, was from Ireland, so we don't know when that happened. Jazzy, your great-grandfather was adopted, the records were destroyed. Oh no. Oh. Yeah, that is... yeah. Obviously, adoptions in historical things, some of them were always, like, of unknown parentage anyway, but for the records to actually be destroyed Yeah, that is just... yeah. Oh no. Oh. Okay, apparently my wife is allergic to our cat, unfortunately. Jazzy, he was clearly biracial. His sister was adopted by a Jewish family. Oh. Yeah, so there is all number of things that could have obviously happened there. Yeah. Yeah, or at least I'm fortunate enough that if I can go back far enough in my family records, we should be pretty decent at actually managing to trace back our lineage, unless something like a fire destroyed parish records or some site. Jazzy, hope to get one of those tests for more insight. So yeah, like the DNA ancestor ones. Oh, if you do get that, yeah, you can feel free to like share the details if you're once again happy to do so. It's always interesting to see that, but then there is also a few situations where people have uncovered unfortunate family secrets by doing so. So yeah, I will say when I ask about these things, I do say them with the caveat of if you are happy to share them, don't feel that you have to. So anyway, we don't want to potentially give our cat to our steward because he is the one that hated our cat. The Duke, were you the one? Or were you the one? Okay, if any of these ones are the ones that liked our cat, they are like that modifier has worn off by now. Oh no. This character is experiencing bothersome symptoms from the presence of a cat. I don't want to get rid of my cat. Oh. Oh, what do people think I should do? Should I give away my cat to someone else for the health of my wife? Oh, I really feel like I should. And I think it was Mayor Fagan who liked our cat as well. I know Paderm was the one who hated the cat because she scratched up all of his things. And the Duke, I don't think... he's kind of like, he's got a -8 opinion of us. So he doesn't hate us, but he doesn't like us either. And yeah, Bloodwin, no. On top, you can always get a new wife. Oh goodness. Oh goodness. Oh, I suppose. I mean, you are right. In this game, it is much easier to get a new wife than it is to get a new cat because getting like a pet cat or dog is pretty much a random event. But oh, I'm not sure I can. Jazzy, I'm telling Lady Android, you're in trouble now. Oh dear. Oh, okay, yes, I'll give him to Fagan. There we go. There we go. The cat's got a new home with someone else. The cat's got a new home. And odd top, she'd do the same to me. Oh, yeah. Oh, I know the feeling. It's like when I first met my husband. Ray, uh-oh, what happened? Well, we had a random event that got us a cat. Unfortunately, our cat, our wife, turned out to be allergic to our cat. And we had the choice of giving it to one of 3 courtiers or saying, no, we're not getting rid of the cat. So unfortunately, I had to make the heartbreaking decision. So I gave the cat to this mayor here. And Odd Top was just saying, it's like, well, you could always get a new wife. And while I'm actually thinking about that, so let's do hit and run for our next one. So, lessons from the past. Though I will surely see many battlefields before I meet my maker, my library holds tales of war from 100 lifetimes. Recently acquired a tome on the Great Siege of Constantinople, as well as a time-worn scroll written in an ancient language. So we can read the newer tome. So that is automatically like a small bonus to our martial for 10 years. Or we can attempt to translate the old scroll. We do have a 75% chance to do so, which we will gain 1 martial, 1 learning, and a commander bonus for 20 years. So that, I will go for that one and see what happens. Okay, so push forwards. So we will gain 44 stress, a critical level, but we have a 100% chance of uncovering a piece of ancient knowledge. So yes, let's do that. And unfortunately, so we've gained a critical amount of stress, so we now have a mental break. So this is basically, he's become so overwhelmed by stress, he's just started lashing out at everything. So we have an option to gain the trait Irritable, which decreases our diplomacy and martial, but our prowess, stress, loss and dread gain goes up, but our attraction opinion goes down, and we get the release your anger interaction. So this allows us to duel anyone when you are stressed. We can say I need a drink, so we gain the trait Drunkard. So reduces stewardship and prowess and gives us a tiny negative to our health, but once again gives us an increase to stress loss, and opinion of drunken characters also goes up. Or we can say I will just have to endure, so we gain 66 stress, and if we're still stressed in 5 years we may suffer another mental break. On top, he misses Bloodwin. Yes, admittedly he probably does. So I think we will endure for the time being. So, okay, so the conclusion to the texts thing, we can study the battle itself. So martial and learning goes up. Faith, hostility, advantage goes up a little bit. Advantage in forest and advantage in tiger goes up. Or we can focus on the translation process, in which case we gain +2 learning. So we'll study the battle and get those small bonuses. So what options do we have? Unfortunately, we don't have enough money for a modest feast. We don't have enough money for a hunt either. So we may have to wait, unfortunately, for the next mental break and hope that we get a positive trait. Oh dear. So we had this trait with this or we had this event with the character's father, though on the opposite end he was trying to learn the Anglic language and accidentally realised he was reading from a saucy book. Though lately I can't help but notice the giggles of giggling maidens and usually austere warriors gathering in dark alcoves to listen enraptured to a book. Today I have finally cornered someone with the book in her hands. It is clearly a licentious text, filled to the brim with sensuous temptations, earthly seductions, and supple bosoms. I am silent while I ponder the probable reaction of the Archbishop, and the courtier stares at me in apprehension. So culture comes in any form, let them read. So 300 learning lifestyle, due to we get it because of our high learning skill. 6 court grandeur. All unchaste courtiers and guests gain 10 opinion. We could go, oh, juicy. So we gain confident lover for 10 years. Plus 30% fertility and plus 10 attraction opinion. But the Archbishop loses 20 opinion of us. So we don't necessarily need that extra fertility. So I think we will ignore that one. Or we could say, make it disappear and I'll pretend I saw nothing. Okay, I'm going to exit out of that for the moment because I can come back to it. What is our court grandeur currently at? Okay, it's 13 of the baseline 13. Yazzie, this is just like The Rain. The show had the same storyline. Okay, I've not heard of that, but yeah, like with the Shrek Easter egg we had earlier, I wouldn't be surprised to learn that this is a reference to that, or it could honestly just be a reference to saucy book comics in general, because obviously they have had a long and varied history of their own. So it could be a reference to that. It could just be a more general historical one. I think I will just say make it disappear and I'll pretend I saw nothing. So yeah, or Odd Top, it's a TV show. Yeah, I'm very lacking in the amount of TV shows that I really watch and am aware of. I've been involved in the Marvel Cinematic Universe for... Oh no. Right, okay. So I've been, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe since it began in 2008, but unfortunately I kind of dropped off a little bit recently, so I have yet to watch Hawkeye, I've yet to watch the Black Widow movie, I've yet to watch Eternals or any of that stuff, so or The Legend or Shang-Chi, so I'm a little bit behind and I need to catch up on things. Reign was based on Mary, Queen of Scots. Okay, yep. Queen Elizabeth I's cousin, was she? I believe so. Odd Top, I'm looking forward to Moon Knight. Yeah, I admit I'm one of those plebs who doesn't read the comics. So, so yeah, I don't have familiarity with anyone beyond, the main characters, but yeah, the way at least it's been presented, Moon Knight definitely looks intriguing, even if I know absolutely nothing about the character. Odd Top also dropped off of the MCU. Yeah, it's perfectly fine, he's a very cool character. Yeah, I am very much of the opinion that Disney wants to... tread carefully is the wrong word, but I think they definitely want to try and make sure that the Marvel Cinematic Universe stays popular and profitable, so they are going to make an effort to try and keep things to a standard, at least. So I will read this out, we will see this event, and then I will probably end the stream because it is past my cat's supper time. I'm surprised he's not complaining at me yet. And I also don't actually have much disk space yet. I don't actually have much disk space left. Odd Top, yeah, I think they've done a good job all around. And Jazzy, meow, feed me. Uh-oh, you're in trouble. Yeah, surprisingly, probably because I'm not actually the main feeder, he doesn't really come up and pester me as much as he does my husband. With my husband, my cat has gotten into the habit of batting things off my husband's desk for attention. Oh, yeah. So anyway, event title, Life Without You. I visit my vassal, Mayor Fragan, to see how the cat is doing in his care. He meets me outside his mansion. No cat to be seen. Oh, he must be out playing somewhere. He's looking everywhere but at me. Where is my cat? And unfortunately we can see this icon here. Not only are we going to gain stress, but we are also going to gain a critical amount of stress, so we are going to have another mental break. There we go. Okay, so we can get either irritable again, and we will gain Grouchy Ruler for 10 years. Or we can say maybe a new cloak would make me feel better. So we will gain the trait Profligate. I think that is pronounced. So it would actually get us a bit of prestige, which might actually be a good thing. Stress loss plus 20%. It would reduce our monthly income by minus 10%, but I don't think that's really, honestly, that bad. We would lose 3 stewardship for 10 years, but let's go for that one. So yes, unfortunately, the cat that we have given to our mayor, a little bit of retail therapy, yes, indeed. So there's a few things like that. There's profligate, or like spendthrift, where you go and buy things to cheer yourself up. You can gain comfort eating, you can be a drunkard, you can be a frequent visitor of the brothel, you can be irritable, you can seclude yourself. And then there are some good ways to manage and mitigate stress, which include having a confidant, being able to go out and go for a run. You could potentially be or start journaling and writing your thoughts down. So anyway, soothing the pain. So we're out walking in the market with our daughter when a criminal was chained in the pillory. So when the man begged for water, she immediately promised to bring it and soon returned from a nearby well. So we can say without kindness the world falls apart. So you are going for a stewardship education. That really doesn't have any impact there. We can tell her the criminal's not worth your attention, which doesn't impact stewardship either. Or we can give her the callous trait. So yeah, diplomacy -2, intrigue +2. But unfortunately those two options there will give us another critical amount of stress. So we may not be able to manage that. So I think we will honestly just have a give her the default one. And yeah, kindness can be good in some situations, but yeah, you can be taken advantage of. So as we can see here, she has a plus 100% dread decay. So any dread she gains will decrease at double the usual rate. So, and callous and sadistic characters, she has -15 opinion of, but it is fortuitous to Catholics, so she does actually gain a bit of bonus piety. Apparently we are just continually getting the earldom of Devon. No, we don't want that. Ooh, someone's been excommunicated. Oh, and here we can also see one of the positive stress management traits, which is the athletic one. Okay, and this is just us working through a training exercise. So I will withdraw for a moment. We have 36, or lose 36 stress, especially seeing as we are now 51 years old. I think that is probably a good idea to kind of start mitigating our stress. So we have finally broken into the 10th century. It is September 901 AD, and yeah, I've got 20 minutes of recording space left on my hard drive. I am 20 minutes late for feeding my cat. But fortunately that does tend to happen. I do tend to run over at least a little bit on my planned streams, just because I like to tend to get to a nice stopping point rather than just cutting off everything as we are. So this has been, if not the most successful stream in terms of progress, we are pretty much exactly where we started. But hopefully at least it has been interesting, and we do have technically, so long as our dynasty survives, another 550 years of the game to really play, because this will be game over, or we will reach the end of the game in the year 1453. So we have quite a few centuries left to try and progress through and get our chosen tasks done. So as with our goals for next stream, like for this one, it is going to be try and take up a bit of land from the English, subjugate them and get them to learn the Welsh language and culture. Yes, I am very much doing an inverse of what actually happened in real life. So we'll see if we can manage to do that, and we'll also see if we can start some kind of culture blending as well. So thank you very much to everyone who's popped into watched this stream, and thank you also very much to everyone who's been chatting along here. I hope you've been enjoying this, and I hope that regardless of how much you know about Crusader Kings, grand strategy games in general, I hope this has been fun and entertaining for you. Odd Top, great stream, had a lot of fun, thank you very much. Ray, thank you for popping in. So just before I will go, I will actually just quickly pop up. Let me see, is anyone I follow online? Let me just have a quick look at that. It doesn't look like it, so I will put up my see you next time thing just while I have a look for someone to raid. Lucas World, thank you very much for that. Thank you for this little salute. So I will quickly go and have a look at a potentially appropriate game that someone is playing. So let's try and see if we can raid another, actually while I'm still talking, while I think about it. And yeah, actually while I'm still talking here, there we go. Okay, yeah, I'll actually put my face on stream. So let's see if we can find another VTuber to go and raid. Someone who's started a recent stream. Someone who's doing a fun little game like we have been. And let's just see. Entirely Upasin's fault I'm lurking here. He made me lurk. Well, thank you very much, Upasins, for having Lucas pop into the stream and have a look. So there is someone streaming Project Zomboid. May or may not be an appropriate game for some people. We got someone, Stardew Valley again, though I think people may be... Ooh! Okay, I'm going to have a look at this person quickly. I'm just going to mute the desktop audio just so we don't get them echoing through to us. Just to see. So I'm basically just going through and looking for games that interest me. Okay, let me just go through. So actually while we're just waiting for this, I'm just going to go through. Does anyone have any plans outside of watching or creating streams? Just out of interest? Okay, so I think, yes, I am indeed going to go and raid this person. If I can remember exactly how to. So let me just bring up the appropriate settings and go through. So yeah, if people can actually remind me how to raid people, because I have not done it in absolutely forever. Oh wait, here we go, I found it. Okay, so this person is playing a zombie game. So I will say, or just a tiny bit of a forewarning, there are jump scare sounds in this, and it is slightly gory, so if either of those things are not to your interest, then yeah, feel free to obviously bow out if it's not your kind of thing, but let's go and share a bit of love. So here we go, and let's raid. And once again, thank you everyone for watching me. See you on Saturday, hopefully.